pleased to have joining us on the set now, representing the Coffee County Recovery Program. And we have to my immediate left, Alan Burnette, who's the Executive Director, and to his left, Will Taylor, who is, you are one of the sponsors of that organization, I believe, or you're not, or one of the sponsors of one of the events.
Yes, sir. We help sponsor one of the youth events there with the Recovery Court.
Okay. Now, you're pretty new to not Tullahoma, but the Manchester area.
Very new.
Yeah,
yes,
but
sir.
not to this area. And you are the executive director. How'd you evolve to where you came to be the executive director? And how does that fit so well for you?
Well, I mean, I'm a person that's in long-term recovery, so I'm a person that has struggled with addiction myself for a very long time. I struggled with alcoholism as well as cocaine. A little over 20 plus years.
You had some expensive habits.
I did. Very, very expensive.
Right.
Probably for 18 years straight, I was under the influence of something. Yes, and that's just how I woke up every single day. But had gotten into some trouble back in 2004, went on the run for about a year and a half. I hid out over here in Tullahoma at Dossett Apartments, and I got to the point to where I could turn myself in. During that time, it was 2006. There was the recovery court, well, it was drug court back then, had that program going on. But the entire time that I was out there using, I had always wanted something to help me to get out of that state of mind. And I never had anything. I never had any structure. I never had any support. I never had any guidance. Never had any love or any of that. But once I turned myself in, went through the process of, looking at recovery court to see if that was something that I wanted to be a part of. My probation officer at the time, she told me that I could not do drugs during that period of time because I was going to be on probation.
Right.
But when she said that you can't drink, it seemed like all the weight in the world lifted up off of me because I never smoked dope unless I was under the influence of alcohol.
Right.
So I knew that if I could nip the alcohol part in the bud, everything else would pretty much take care of itself. So I entered that program and went through the program. Didn't have any hiccups or anything like that. Graduated 2008, and I pretty much started from there just talking about my experiences growing up and just trying to give positive encouragement, positive advice moving forward. And my probation officer, she saw something in me that I didn't at that point in time, and she had me to go get some certifications and start facilitating classes for my peers. And then some people from the community, especially the coalition that is existing over in Franklin County, saw something in me that I didn't see. So she utilized my gifts, my talents into a program, and that allowed me to start building relationships within the county. And then seeing that, a program came through the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services that was geared towards the coalitions across the state. And that allowed me to take a position as the Tennessee Lifeline Peer Project Coordinator. So I covered 13 counties from 2013 up until this time last year, implementing things into the community like recovery courts, coalitions, recovery programs, bringing about education. All the counties I covered were rural communities, reducing stigma, being a face and a voice of somebody that's in long-term recovery. And in that, we changed the way that society looks at people who struggle with addiction. During that time, you take a look at from 2013, the state took 10 individuals who are in long-term recovery and spreaded them out across the state, covering like 13 counties. I think I was one of the individuals that covered the most counties throughout the region or throughout the state. But people didn't talk about recovery. It was hard for people to talk about addiction from 2013. But you take and look at today of how people take and celebrate recovery. People take and celebrate. I got 2 days clean. I got 3 days clean.
Yeah.
And you know that's huge.
Because it's kind of a day at a time, I'm guessing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you know, you took 10 individuals working across the state to change the stigma and the way that people look at addiction today, and now we celebrate it. And I know that the state probably has what 25 of us.
I think so now. Yeah.
25 individuals that cover the entire state, changing or reducing stigma related to the disease of addiction. But this time last year, this position opened up over here in Coffee County, and somebody asked me, they said, Alan, this position is open. I think you'll be a good fit. Send me your resume. I said, okay, I ain't gonna get this position. I said, you know, I'm good right here, but I interviewed, and within a couple hours, they had called me and said, it's yours if you want it. So here I am.
All right.
Yep.
Great. You mentioned something in describing that to me about disease of addiction, and I'm thinking that, you know, for a lot of people, they're not criminals. They've just got an addiction here,
absolutely,
and they need some help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, just a little support, a little hands-on. You know, whenever I first started my position with the coalition over in Franklin County, my supervisor at the time sat me down because I'm having to work with computers and that sort of stuff. And she sat me down and she told me to turn my laptop on. And I'm looking all over this joker and I'm like, how do I turn this thing on? Whenever I worked with a computer, it was 1988, 89, 90, and it was floppy disk.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Back then, so, you know, from that point in time, I mean, a lot of my time was out there in the street. But what she did is she pointed out where the power source was. And she realized at that point in time that I needed more than just somebody telling me what to do, but somebody showing me how to do it.
Right.
So she walked alongside of me the entire process of helping me to get to where I'm at now.
I see.
Not just telling me
Were you able to hold a job down prior to getting involved in this program?
I showed up once a week. I did construction work, but let's say from 2000 and since I've been clean, this new way of living, I've maintained a job every single day.
But it's been so long now. What?
18 years.
18 years that it's probably a way of life for you now. Is it
Yes,
not?
sir. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. You know, like just having the position as recovery court director, that's just a title to me. I mean, it is what it is, and I don't say that in a bad way. Everything that everything that I'm doing now, I was doing while I was incarcerated. Nothing has.
So you've actually spent some time in jail?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Nothing has changed. I ran my mouth while I was incarcerated, and I've continued to run my mouth still to this day. I just get to run it on different stages in
Right.
different areas. So I've taken the education that I've gained throughout the past 18 years and, you know, spread it where it's needed.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's needed everywhere.
Absolutely.
So I've been a face and a voice of somebody that's in long-term recovery for the past 18 years. Yes.
Okay, great story. Talk about a little bit about the recovery court. How does it work? How does somebody take advantage of those?
Well, I mean, you know, it's geared towards individuals who continue to commit crimes, who are struggling with addiction. So it's a more structured type probation or program, I should say. There are several different phases that they have to complete in order to graduate. We want them to graduate within 18 months. We understand that there may be some hiccups. Hopefully there's not. But I know that whenever I went through the program, some people said that, you know, it's something to set you up to fail. But I don't see failure. You know, you continue to walk with an individual. If they're continuing to press forward and go forward, you continue to work with them. So, you know, we have those different phases. If they have a hiccup or whatever, there's sanctions for that. If they do good, there's incentives for that. Just by the regulations through the state, they can't be a violent offender. We want them to have four years sentence, at least a 4-year sentence, to be able to come through the program. The program you have to have a referral from your attorney, which goes to the district attorney, and then myself, as well as the judge, district attorney's office and our recovery court team will vote and see if that individual is a good candidate.
When you mention 4-year sentence, you don't have to actually spend all of that time in jail. Is that correct?
Correct. We do want you to have some jail time from jail, depending on what your assessment scores. You may have to go to treatment, or you may have to do intensive outpatient treatment. But coming out of incarceration, you're going to have some kind of treatment.
Right. Okay. All right. So, as one who's been through it, you kind of understand what these guys are going through, guys and girls.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I think that right there is a huge benefit for the individuals that's coming through it, because I understand, I understand where they're at, and I know what that darkness looks like. I know what that darkness feels like. So I kind of understand. Well, I ain't gonna say I do understand what they're going through. I understand what that pain feels like.
Right.
And I want them to take and have some of what, if not all of what I have.
Right.
And I don't have a whole lot, but I do have life.
Right.
I do have joy. I do have freedom.
Right.
And I think that everybody's deserving of having that.
Right. Through all this process, I understand you become spiritually aware as well, have you not?
From day one.
From day one.
From day one.
Yeah.
From
okay.
day one. And so, there's a lot of talk about jailhouse religion and this and that.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's where I found it.
It apparently worked
Yes,
for us.
yes, sir, and I think it works for everybody.
Right.
I really and truly do, because, whenever we're in those spaces, we truly are able to tap into ourselves. It's just, it's difficult sometimes whenever we get out here in the real world, because we don't have any structure, or we don't have any support, or we don't have any education to learn about who we are as a person.
Right.
And I think that me learning who I was or who I am as a person has helped me to move forward, because doing that, I learned to truly start loving myself. And
Right.
I feel like when a person truly starts loving themselves, the better decisions they start to make.
How does one get referred to this program or get into this program?
Well, pretty much their attorney.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. Like if you going, or if you got legal issues, you could talk with your attorney. Like a parent may be aware of recovery court, and they may have a child or a loved one that may be incarcerated or got some legal issues going on, and they can always say, hey, why not recovery court? It's a program that can help you. But the process is, it has to go through their attorney, and that attorney has to send in that application to you.
But at the point you get into the recovery court, you pretty much have to have your issues, maybe
You
not
have to
your
be
sentence
sentenced. Yes, sir.
served, but you've got to have the issue resolved.
Yes, you got to be sentenced. Yes.
Right. Oh, okay. Well, how are you involved in the recovery?
That's a great question. Me and Alan actually have a long history.
Really?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Alan actually is the one that got me into recovery.
Really?
Yes, sir. In 2013.
Were you acting bad?
Yes, sir. I was out there acting bad, unfortunately. Yes, sir. And in and out of incarceration, of course, coming up in a single family household, a mom of 4 kids, kind of at her wits' end, and actually a coworker encouraged my mom to attend a coalition meeting, which was at the time they titled them Anti-Drug Coalition, where Alan had presented there before, talking about his work with the state and helping navigate the treatment system. And through that, my mom kind of got educated herself, and I was at my wits' end, of course, in the judicial system, and was presented kind of an intervention style there with my mom and, of course, the judicial system. And at the time, we didn't have recovery courts.
Right.
Alan helped me start that path of recovery.
Right.
And since then, we've become brothers since, you know. He really, you know, he spoke earlier about, you know, his former director really showing him that power button, really demonstrating it, right? Not just telling, but the experience of walking someone through it. And that's really what he did for me, honestly, through that recovery journey. I had a lot of internal fear, not knowing what life would be like, because the past 20 years had been associated to some form of substance.
Right.
So he stayed with me in contact, and, you know, after treatment, stayed, you know, plugged in with me, and still was, I like using the word invest, right? He was investing, you know, into me. And he spoke about his work with the state, and at the time I wasn't a believer, you know, but through just individuals like Alan and some others, you know, investing in me, God started really making profound emphasis in my life. And one of those profound moments was, next thing you know, I'm working with Alan at the state, and got to work with a project at the time called Project Lifeline under the faith-based initiative, and did that for right at 7 years, and then just kind of was nudged into a different direction, and started an organization called Recovery's the New High, where we focus in on education to just the general community on mental health and substance abuse and advocacy, and then consulting, helping build up organizations and agencies reach their full potential. So,
you know, I'm going to ask this question,
yes, sir.
but I know the answer to it. You seem to be a very happy person today. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, Alan talked about just the freedom. You know, freedom, I know for myself, I can take for granted of what freedom is. You know, when I was going through in and out of incarceration, you know, freedom was just being outside of jail.
Yeah.
But recovery's actually given me, you know, peace, that internal peace, freedom of just my mind, you know, from the compulsiveness of thinking that I had to have a substance to continue, you know, just living. The true freedom today is just being able to enjoy life on life's terms.
It's giving him a new high.
That's it. It's giving me.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and you like this high better, much better than the other one, I'm sure.
Absolutely. It doesn't have the negative consultations with it, those negative impacts,
yeah, exactly. How long have you been in recovery now?
Going on 13 years.
13 years.
Yes.
You're probably going to make it now, you know, I think, both of you.
I hope so. Just reminding myself to do the things that got me here. You know? Yes, sir. So,
talk a little bit, we're seeing some video up there. Talk a little bit about that. What's happening there?
yes, sir. This was an opportunity, really talking to Alan and some of the other community members, you know, the local health councils, the school systems, the Journey Together program there, really wanted an opportunity to invest into our youth, and kind of a collaborative, what we call the Coffee County Collaborative Coalition spawned from that. And one of the first initiatives there was creating an after-school program for kids just to voluntarily participate in. And we kind of incorporated a flag football concept with that, just for, you know, the youth to participate. In this line of work, we hear so many individuals maybe kind of doing training sessions and things, but something that Alan's taught me is the concept of being present in someone's life, right? Just like he was in mine early on. That carries more value than I think a lot of times we, you know, want to admit. And this is an opportunity. We called it our Super Bowl, kind of the end of year finale, where we come together, and it was amazing time, amazing turnout.
Like that guy right there that just ran and scored that touchdown, he was a kid, he had Down syndrome. So he was from Coffee County Middle School, and recognizing that, you know, what his circumstance was. We wanted this man to be able to celebrate something and feel like that he's accomplished something throughout this entire process of the flag
Right.
football. So whenever people was going after him to pull the flag, I was telling them to get away and let him go, and let him have his moment.
Right.
So that was huge. That was real huge for that individual. I think it was huge for the crowd too.
So much come from this event, though, and really this event started the first of the year. Meeting with the schools twice a week, really investing in them, not just through maybe an athletic extracurricular activity perspective, but really just showing them the concept of discipline, teamwork, and pulling out their hidden talents,
Right.
their athletic abilities, but really helping them make healthy decisions.
So is it this is a project? Am I correct? Of the drug court this event here that we just watched.
It was just kind of a collaborative effort between a lot of community agents. There was the drug court,
Right.
the school system, and the collaborative coalition, and Recovery's New High. We were able to participate and sponsor that event as well.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is going to be a big success. I like both of you guys, and you both are such up people. I mean,
It is. My ultimate goal for this after school mentorship program is to get this implemented into all the schools throughout the county.
Right.
And it's the flag football is just something for fun. The ultimate goal is being able to put mentors into these schools for these kids. I know whenever I was growing up, not having that right there,
Right.
the difference it could have made. And just over the past few months, we seeing the difference as a whole from Westwood to Coffee County Middle School. The difference is made in those children's lives. And it doesn't just have to be middle school, it can be elementary. But the cool aspect about that is not just getting to know the child, but getting to know the family.
Right.
And being able to provide a resource for that family. I think that right there is what's huge, because there's a lot of need that's in the county, and some people just don't know where to tap in to get those resources.
Right.
So why not bring the resources to them?
Right. Guys, thank you so much for coming by today. I probably run over twice what I was supposed to, but that's okay. It was a great subject, and you guys are great people.
Thank you.
I commend you on what you're doing and the comeback you've made here, and what a positive influence you've been on a lot of people, I'm sure, along the way. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank
All
you,
right.
Mr. Fuller.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.